going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 7 of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast, brought to you in part by Primetime Productions. I am with my co-host, Mikey Sullivan. How you doing, buddy?
Not bad, Chris. How you been?
Man, I'm tired.
I'm exhausted. I feel you.
No hockey, man. It's just a very drowsy. Got in about, like we were talking about before, like 2:30 this morning, and kind of just grinding through today. And then leave tomorrow for a bachelor party. So definitely my poise has got to be at 99. And, so yeah, it'll be a good time though. I'm ready for it, and it's from my best friend, so it'll be a good time.
Yeah, dude. There's nothing like a good bachelor party. I mean, come on. If you're planning anything, I mean, and if you're looking forward to anything, a bachelor party is probably like top 2 things that you could do. I mean,
Yeah,
bachelor parties are a time and a half.
Oh, I like we've been talking about this for God, it's been months now, and just it's been so hyped up, and we're gonna be going to I think the name is Bethlehem, New Hampshire, and then obviously we're gonna make the trek up to Vermont and everything, and go to hit some breweries and just kind of hang out, golf a little bit, and yeah, it should be a good time, but definitely gonna have to show some perseverance for sure.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of golf too, me and Boosie this past Monday, we played in our family's annual golf tournament. It's just a quick shout out to that really quick. So it was our 29th year doing it. It's the longest running golf tournament in our city. We were able to raise, I think it was around $16,000 or $17,000 for one of the families in our city. And actually this year the money went to one of my best friends. His brother got into a motorcycle accident a couple of years ago, and the money's going to his family to continue to pay for some of the hospital bills that continue to come to them. And they're awesome people. They're a great family. They've been friends with me since I was literally like 4 or 5 years old. So just having that time together. Obviously having Boosie join too with my foursome, it was a great time, and it was nice to kind of hang out outside of hockey, just kind of go play 18 holes. We came in 4th, which isn't terrible. Not bad, but I'm still searching for that first Phillies tournament victory.
Now, is that out of 4 teams, or is it how many teams we talking?
No, so there were 160 golfers. So I believe, I want to say there were around 40 teams.
Big math guy.
Yeah, big math guy. Something like that. It was something like that. But yeah, great time, and I'm thankful for Boosie coming to play with us. So shout out to Boosie.
Yeah, man. I was reading the group chat. You guys were getting after it. So fun.
Dude, the next day at work was so hard.
He was texting me, dude, and I'm like, what is this dude saying? I'm glad you guys had a good time, man. I wish I could have been there, obviously, but was in Myrtle Beach taking friggin' family photos, and yeah, I mean, no camera is gonna help this ugly mug, and not good.
Yeah, dude.
I'd rather been golfing.
Yeah, dude. Next year we'll have to have a PTP team down there, and yeah, we'll have the whole squad down there.
Yeah, that would be a gong show. But yeah, man, so we got a lot to kind of get into, and obviously we left off last week's podcast with it was a report from Elliot Friedman that a potential trade for Erik Karlsson could be done by the end of the weekend, and it did. And it was kind of, I think, shock around the NHL, just how much was given up. So just to kind of break down the deal, Pittsburgh received Erik Karlsson with 13% of his salary retained. Dylan Hamiluk, he was a 2019 second round pick, a 6'3" left winger. He only appeared in 6 games last year, so there wasn't much, not many statistics on him. In a 2026 third round pick from San Jose. San Jose received Michael Granlund, Mike Hoffman, and Ruda, as well as a 2024 first round pick from Pittsburgh. And Montreal was also involved in the deal, and they received Jeff Petrie with 25% retained, Casey DeSmith, Nathan Lagar, and a 2025 second round pick from Pittsburgh. Right off the bat, what were your thoughts on this deal? It was so crazy to see, and I had to kind of look twice to be like, it seemed a little lopsided and not in Pittsburgh's favor, to be honest.
No, dude, especially when you consider the state that the Penguins are in right now. I guess Dubas must be thinking, Crosby's at tail end of his career, Malkin's at the tail end, Letang is on his tail end. I think what they're trying to do is just make this team as competitive as possible for right now. Almost kind of what you saw with Boston last season, right? Where they're just trying to build their base as good as possible. But I mean, we were saying last week too, even if they get Karlsson, it doesn't make this team that much better in our eyes. And for them to give up a first round pick, a second round pick, Granlund, Ruda, Petrie, to Smith and Lagar for Karlsson, I mean,
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I thought the price was very hefty. And I'm kind of looking at it from Pittsburgh's and Dubas's perspective, where, say they underachieve significantly, and you got a player like Erik Karlsson come like trade deadline time, you might be able to get some of those pieces back equal to. But like we were talking about, man, it just doesn't seem like this is a roster that's ready to compete in a loaded Metro division. Does it make them a better team? Absolutely. Adding Erik Karlsson to any team is going to make you a better team. Does it put them over that hump of being a competitive team in the Metro division? I don't believe so. Obviously, we went through our predictions last week, and I still don't see them making playoffs. I don't. It's nothing against them. It's just the roster that they have right now. I can't see them competing in that division.
And you know what's interesting that you said that I actually didn't even think about is how they could potentially, if it doesn't work out and they see themselves on the outside looking in the playoff race, say Karlsson is having equal to or a little less, than what he produced last year. They could flip him and they could kind of replenish that prospect pool. They could replenish, any draft equity that they have. So you could flip him. So it could work out, but it's just odd that they gave up so much. I mean, they lost a first round pick in 2024 and a second round pick in 2025, and they're going to need those picks. So I don't know, man. It, like you said, it does make them better, but does it make them that much better where now they're in a playoff spot? I still don't think so. I still think they finish behind teams like Columbus. They definitely finish behind New Jersey, the Rangers, and Carolina. So it's like I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I these draft picks, this year, this upcoming draft, we saw this past draft, this upcoming draft, and even next year's draft. These picks are valuable, dude. Like, they're like really talented players that you could, whether you have to package together picks to go up and get these picks are valuable. Yeah. And for them my order of who won this trade, it goes Montreal, San Jose, Pittsburgh.
Yep.
That's what did they give up? You get a top 4 defenseman in Petrie.
Returning to Montreal, by the way.
And they're going to be retaining 25% of his salary.
Right.
You're getting Casey DeSmith, who probably is going to be the starting goaltender on that team. Potentially. We'll see. We'll see how things shake up. I know they have Montembeault and who am I missing?
I'm not even sure who their backup is off the top of my head.
Jake Allen, I believe.
Yeah. Is he still there?
We can check on that. But like I said, and then to mention, they add a 2025 second round pick from Pittsburgh. So, that in my eyes, that's a huge return for a team that really didn't give up anything.
Right. Does that change Montreal's position in the Atlantic, do you think, at all? Or do you still think they're finishing last in that division?
So I don't think it changes anything.
Yeah.
Reason being is a lot of, we're talking, I think Boston, obviously we both had them ranked pretty high. They're bringing back both their goalies. I don't see Montreal finishing any better than, say, a team like Ottawa, Detroit, who are the two teams that I kind of had at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is definitely a trade that's going to help them. I mean, it definitely makes them a better team, and it makes them more competitive in that division. Does it make them a better team than, say, an Ottawa or Detroit? I don't believe so.
Yeah.
But they're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I think they could potentially beat out Detroit, but that's like they'd have to be playing balls to the wall all year. You know, they would have to get big seasons from Caulfield, Suzuki, Petrie would have to come back into the same form that he was in when he was in Montreal.
Yep.
But DeSmith definitely helps. I mean, he had an above 900 save percentage last year, 905. His goals against average wasn't too good. It was a 317, but I mean, better than the options that they have right now. A DeSmith and Jake Allen, duo. It's not terrible.
Yeah, and we talk about what San Jose got in return. San Jose adds another first round pick from Pittsburgh. And like we just talked about, if Pittsburgh's an underachieving team and all of a sudden they decide to go into tank mode, you're talking about a top 15 pick.
Yeah.
If that's how Pittsburgh ends the year, you add a player like Michael Granlund, and it's just kind of ironic that Mike Hoffman's involved in Erik Karlsson trade.
Yeah. Oh, true. Oh, shit. I didn't even think of that. That's crazy.
Getting shipped across the country. And then Ruda. I like Ruda as a defenseman, man. He's like a stay-at-home brute force. Like, I like his game. Is he? I mean, he's probably a bottom pair defender, but I mean, he's someone that you can slot into pretty much, any pair. And then that first round pick. I mean, I like this trade for San Jose too. I can't. You got to think that is this the best return that what the fuck am I trying to say? So Pittsburgh, I just feel like Pittsburgh gave up way too much, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking that it just doesn't make sense to me. It's such a dog shit trade, and I think everyone from reading like the reactions, everyone was kind of like, "What the fuck? Like, why?"
Well, I'm looking at it right now. Pittsburgh ended up losing 7 separate assets in this trade just for Karlsson. They in return they got Pitlick, that Hamaliuk guy, a 3rd round pick, and obviously Karlsson. They gave up a first, a second, Granlund, Ruda, Petrie, DeSmith, and Lagar. I mean, that's a lot to give up just for Erik Karlsson, dude. I don't know.
I mean, you're essentially getting a similar defenseman to like what Chris Letang is.
Right. Now you have 2 Chris Letangs.
I just don't understand what. I can respect what Dubas is doing. I think in the long run we're gonna look at this trade and just be like, this was too much.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Especially if they end up being like a bottom. If that pick ends up being a top 15 pick, I think that's a win for San Jose.
Absolutely, it might already be a win for San Jose, regardless.
Yeah, right from the jump. I mean, that I think. Like I said, I think Montreal is the overall winner in this trade. I love Petrie. I love his game. He was a really good defender when he was last in Montreal. Very underrated. And then obviously San Jose made out pretty well. They made out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you consider where San Jose is right now in terms of what their organization is capable of. They need to stock up on these picks. They need to stock up on, maybe some of these veteran guys who are going to take up some cap space, just help them reach the cap floor. You just dumped, what was Karlsson making, like $10.5 million?
Yeah, I think it was over 11, to be honest.
It was okay. Yeah. So even better for them. I mean, that contract doesn't have any value on your team anyways. If he stays in San Jose, it's kind of a waste of the tail end of his career. So why not get what you can for him, ship him to a team that has a chance. I mean, it's not a high chance, but it's a chance,
Yeah, I kind of want to bring up also San Jose. I really like what Mike Greer's doing. He's kind of, he's getting the players out of there that don't necessarily fit what he's trying to do. And I think he got 2 really, really good players in the first round of this year's draft in Will Smith and Quentin Musty. I think Musty I believe he was 26 overall. it was a great value pick, and I really like what Greer's doing for that team, and I think they're heading in the right direction. I know obviously it's too early to say that they're going to be, a good team, but I think they're making all the right moves, and um, Mike Greer's kind of playing the long game, putting them in position to make some moves and get younger.
Yeah, if you put yourself into, his mindset, basically imagining yourself playing NHL 23 franchise mode as San Jose, I
Yeah,
mean, you like the way you like the trades you just made. You think you just set yourself up, for success in the future. So I see what San Jose's doing. I think they came out of this trade well. Montreal fantastic, and then Penguins, it's just kind of, it seems like it's a last ditch effort to maintain some relevancy and give this core group of guys in Malkin, Letang, and Crosby a fighting chance.
yeah, and like I said, I can respect that. I mean,
Yeah.
Bruins did something very similar last year.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily work out the way we wanted, but you can respect them going all in.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I think we'll kind of transition to our picks for the Pacific Division. This was even more difficult than the Metro, I think.
It was. And I think it was
I
more difficult because there's a lot of teams in this division that are just garbage.
Yeah, it was towards the bottom that I was just complete junk.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I'll if you want. Do you want to start it off?
Yeah, I can start it up.
Yeah.
So let me see here. Let me flip my little notebook on the other side. So I think the top three teams, again, it could flip flop, but the way I have it, I have Vegas number one. You're gonna have Jack Eichel fully healthy. I know these guys are coming off a deep playoff run, so they're not getting as much rest as the other guys. But I mean, look at their lineup. All four forward groups, it's so deep. Their defensive unit is deep, and if Aiden Hill can come in and build off of the year he had last year, they're going to be a scary team. So I have Vegas number one. At number two, and this might surprise you, I actually have LA. I love the addition of Pierre-Luc Dubois, Kevin Fiala, obviously Kopitar, Doughty still being there. The only question mark I have for them is their goaltending. If their goaltending can hold up and have a decent year, then I think that they can take that second spot over the third place team in my estimation, the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, same problems that they've always had. Their goaltending is kind of weak. Their defensive unit isn't the strongest. And they really rely heavily on McDavid and Draisaitl. Obviously, Evander Kane helps with their offensive production, but I just think LA is a little bit deeper and they're a more well-rounded team than Edmonton. But I mean, when I'm saying second and third, I'm talking about maybe like a 3, 4, 5 point difference. It's not like they're running away with it.
Yeah.
Fourth place, I have Seattle. I think they could build off of last year. I think they can get better. They could even fight for a top 3 spot as well. Fifth, I have Vancouver. Sixth, I have Calgary. Seventh, I have Anaheim. And eighth, I have San Jose.
So honestly, I think this is the most different our lists have been.
Really? I was thinking that it might be.
Yeah, and I think I don't hate your list, dude, to be honest. Like you said earlier, like it's one of those divisions that like it could go any which direction. It's not like, it's not necessarily loaded like the Atlantic or the Metro. I mean, you get towards the bottom, you're talking about some bottom of the barrel teams right now.
Yeah, like before we even recorded, I said when we were trying to make this list, I was like, this is honestly a division after 4. It's like who's going to be worse is really what it is.
Yeah. So honestly, my list definitely different. My number one team for the Pacific Division. I hate to give this idiot Oilers analytics any like shout out or anything, but I got Edmonton finishing first in that division.
Okay, I can see it.
Listen, anytime you have players like Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, Evander Kane, like I think they're going to be a dangerous team again. I know goaltending is always an issue. In my mind, they have the most overpaid player in the NHL in Darnell Nurse at making $9.5 million a year. At some point, man, I hope they make some. They have a player that I think could really make a run for a Norris Trophy, and that's Evan Bouchard. Really, he really made the jump last year. Obviously, we're talking a ton of good defensemen in this league, but Evan Bouchard really took that next step. And honestly, I could see him making a run for that trophy.
Dude, I think the X factor, if Zach Hyman can have a year similar to what he did last season, then I can totally see Edmonton winning this Pacific Division. I mean, he had 83 points last year, dude. He was 4 goals away from 40. If he can do the same thing, then
Very underrated. You didn't hear anything about Zach Hyman because he's on a team with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl.
right,
I mean,
right.
83 points for a guy like Zach Hyman is unbelievable. And
Yeah.
and even Evander Kane, man, had a solid year.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes, dude. So like, if sorry, but like if those two guys can, help with that depth scoring, then they could run away with the division.
But the thing is, it's every year it's like this. I think
Right.
obviously this is our first year doing this podcast, but I feel like as a hockey fan, it's like every year you talk about, well, this is the Oilers year. Very similar to like Toronto with how fucking loaded they are as a team, like how good they look on paper. Like you can't not say that they're going to be a bad team. Like anytime you have players like Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, Austin Matthews, Mitch, like you're going to instantly be a competitive team.
Yeah.
So number 2, I got the defending Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. You mentioned they're going to be starting off the year with a healthy Jack Eichel. They bring back who in my mind was probably the best available free agent, Ivan Barbashev.
Yeah.
He was instrumental to that team. I mean, I'm not sure they won that cup without him. He was so important to that team, and he's such an underrated player. They got him at a steal of a contract in my eyes. Obviously, Pietrangelo, just a solid team. They're going to be right up there in that division. Number 3, I got the LA Kings. Obviously, you brought up Pierre-Luc Dubois. They bring back Kopitar. This is another team that could definitely make a run if they get hot at the right time, barring any major injuries or poor goaltending play.
Yeah.
4th best, I got Seattle again. I think this is a team that kind of surprised a lot of people last year. Obviously, Matty Beniers had an unreal year. I think he's going to be, I think he's going to, again, take that next step and prove to be a good leader for that team. Next, I got Vancouver. Vancouver's Vancouver, man. I mean, we'll see what happens. They still got Thatcher Demko, still got Pedersen, Quinn Hughes. We'll see how they do. Anaheim and then Calgary.
Wow, really?
I do. I think when I look at this roster for the Ducks, I think we talked about it last week too. You look at players like Zegras, Troy Terry, now Leo Carlson, Jamie Drysdale, still have John Gibson in net. I don't think they're going to surpass like teams like the Canucks or the Kraken, but I don't see them finish. It just would be such a disappointment, and it would be a huge year that these guys underachieve if they finished bottom of this division.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about players like Trevor Zegras, who they're hoping, and Mason McTavish as well. I forgot about him. That needed to take that next step, dude. Like,
and I mean, they as of now they still have Gibson. They still have John Gibson too.
Right. Anytime John Gibson is still a top 10 goalie in this league. Like anytime he can steal you games. And you look at this team we mentioned last week. They brought in players like Alex Killorn, Radko Gudas. Like they're trying to change the culture in that locker room. Like they're trying to make a change, and they're trying to like bring in leaders that have that experience to bring them, to the next level. And I love it. I'm a big Gudas guy.
Dude, you're making me want to put Anaheim above Calgary in mine.
I mean, we're not going to restart the episode, but
no. But it's in my mind now.
It makes you wonder. And like you think about a team like Calgary, who comes to mind? Huberdeau.
That's it.
Kadri.
Yeah. Markstrom was hot ass last year. I mean, they could take a tumble. They could take a real tumble this year.
And I mean, for them I could definitely see them being a team that kind of wants to go in a new direction and kind of go in rebuild mode. Like Anaheim's already entered that era. Like they've had high draft picks the past however many friggin' years it's been, dude. You brought in players like McTavish, Zegras, Drysdale, now Leo Carlsson. Like you've made plenty of like high draft picks to put this team in, in position to compete. And it's like, at what point are these guys going to take the next step? I know it's still early, but I still think they're a better team than Calgary. And we mentioned John Gibson. He can steal you games.
I mean, dude, I'm on Daily Faceoff right now, and I'm looking at their potential line combinations. First line, Henrique Zegers Terry, good first line. Second line, Killorn McTavish Strome, good second line. Third line, what's up, old friend Frank Vetrano, Isaac Lundestrom, and Jacob Silfverberg. Fourth line, Max Jones, Gruel, and Leeson. And then their top four isn't bad. Fowler, Drysdale, Lacombe, Gudis, Haig, and Hellison. And then obviously, like we just said, Gibson and Dostal and net. It's not a terrible lineup. They actually might be a little bit underrated coming into the year, if I'm being honest, at least in my mind.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly what I'm thinking too, dude. Like you look at this roster and it's like, okay, this isn't a terrible roster. Like when you look at a team that just had the number 2 overall pick, like you definitely are kind of like, I mean, obviously you look at a team like Chicago, you're like, okay, they're ass. Like definitely deserve the first overall pick. But you look at a team like Anaheim and it's like, I don't understand how, obviously they've made a lot of acquisitions and they just drafted Leo Carlsson, but I just can't see how they are worse than a team like Calgary. And you brought up that Jackson Lacombe. I had a chance to watch him for Minnesota last year. And he's a really, really good defenseman. Obviously he signed with Anaheim after the college year. He was a really good defenseman. I think he's someone that can step into that lineup and help them a lot.
Yeah, and just to kind of compare, I just pulled up Calgary's potential lines off at Daily Faceoff, and I will say I think Calgary's back end is better. Obviously, Hanifin, Anderson, Uyghur, Tanev, Shillington, and Zadorov. Zadorov is a fucking monster, dude. Yeah, but like their forward group, they got Huberto, Lindholm, Sharangovich, Dubé, Kadri, Coronado, Mangiapane, Backlund, Coleman, Pelletier, Ruzicka, and then Dewar. So I think those forward groups could go toe to toe. That's going to be those two teams are going to be really interesting to keep tabs on.
Let me ask you this: so what's the difference between those two teams?
I mean,
Gibson.
Yeah, I was going to say the goaltending. Yeah, if Markstrom plays the way that he played last year, and I know this because he was on my fantasy team for the first like 2 or 3 months. I was like, he's going to get better. He's going to get better. No, he just kept losing me weeks. So if he has a year like he did last season, I mean, they're going to have to turn to Vladar, and is Vladar a number 1 starting goalie in the league? I don't know.
Did they re-sign Vladar?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how this division shakes up. I mean, this was definitely between you and I. It was the most different I've seen, in our comparisons. It's definitely the most different it was difficult. Like even the top of the division, like you're talking 3 teams, potentially 4 that could all finish in first place.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be an interesting year. I think would you say this is probably the worst division in the NHL, or?
I would say the Central probably is the worst.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Probably the Central.
It has to be. I mean, the top half of this division is actually pretty good.
Right.
Edmonton, Vegas, obviously Stanley Cup winners. LA is going to be good, and Seattle. I think it's got to be the Central.
Yeah, I mean the Central, they got 2 teams that are, that could qualify as like some of the league's best. Colorado and maybe Dallas. Dallas at the back end of the league's best. But then, I mean, you got Minnesota, Winnipeg, Nashville, St. Louis, Arizona, and Chicago. I mean, yeah, ew.
But, yeah. So, other news. The trailer for NHL's coming out, dude.
Yes,
I'm
dude.
so pumped. And as soon as I saw that, man, I was instantly thought about you boys. I'm like, there's got to be fucking crossplay.
It has to be, dude.
As soon as I saw it, yeah. Do you think they add it?
I think so, because on the little graphic that they put out on their Twitter page, it had 2 tickets and it said admits to, and 1 ticket had PlayStation controllers, 1 ticket had Xbox controllers. There's speculation. I think crossplay is coming, but there's also speculation that there could be 2 cover athletes because of that. Much like you saw in NHL 23 with Zegras and Sarah Nurse. And I don't know. I don't have anybody in my mind who I'm really thinking is like a lockdown answer for the cover athlete. I don't know about you. Do you have any guesses?
Bring up if it could be 2 players. I mean, right off the bat, I mean, not being biased or anything, like Swaim and Allmark, like
That'd be cool.
I mean, it'd be cool, and it like I don't know. You could argue maybe the Kachuk brothers, like
that would be awesome. Or the Hughes brothers too.
Brothers. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're talking 2 cover athletes, those are really the only that I could think of. I was actually looking at. Let me pull it up now.
Yeah, while you pull it up, you could see them go in that similar direction where they pick a professional woman hockey player just like they did with Nurse, maybe go with Hillary Knight, or I know there's that, I think she's from Sweden and she's like a phenom. She's so good, and I wish I had the name off the top of my head. I'm gonna try to find it, but she's nasty.
Yeah, so I'm bringing up a graphic from Mike Bartner. He runs M-Bon Hockey. Awesome page. If you guys, he does a ton of like rankings in his mind. The last couple he's done like prediction for the Vezina this year. So he did one with NHL 24 like duo cover picks, and I found this really interesting, what he went with. So at number 1 he had the Chuck brothers. Number 2 he had Eichel and Mark Stone.
Ooh, interesting.
I thought that would really be cool. Nate McKinnon and Cale Makar. Igor Shesterkin and Ilya Sorokin.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Was
the last time there was a goalie on the cover? Was that Brodeur in 14? I think it was.
Oh, dude! Like thinking back,
I think it was. So this would be 10 years without a goalie on the cover. So that's something to consider too.
I could see it. Number 5, he had McDavid Draisaitl, which again, they're the best duo in hockey. Yeah. The Hughes brothers, Quinn and Jack. With that, dude, like, would you just add Luke? Like, I don't know. At that point, it's shitty. It's like,
maybe, you gotta add him somehow if you're gonna do that. Yeah.
Back of the game or something.
It's like the Happy Gilmore in Happy Gilmore when they go up to above the house and they're all waving from the sky, like he's just above.
I'm not happy.
Yeah, dude. But so the chick, the girl that I was talking about, she is Slovakian. Sorry, not Swedish. She's Slovakian. Her name is Nela Lupasanova. She's 14 years old. She played 8 games. She had 28 goals, 21 assists in 8 games. She had 49 points. And she's like, they're not just like tapping goals. Like she's flying around, all the other women she's playing against. And she's like, I'm telling you, if you have a chance, look her up. Look up some of her highlights on YouTube. She is one of the greatest, like, I'll say prospects. She's one of the best prospects in hockey right now. She's nasty.
Yeah, she sounds like Benoit Pouliot. HL numbers too.
Yes, yeah, literally. She's put up video game numbers right now.
I mean, I could see it. I was a big fan. Obviously, you have those idiots that like they were super rattled when like Sarah Nurse got on the cover. But honestly, like
Yeah.
why not try to build the game and like spread the game for everyone, dude? You talk about hockey's for everyone. Like,
Yeah.
what's the big deal? Like, I love that they're including everyone, and I love the cover. Honestly, the Zegras, it was different. It was I thought it was really creative. So I could definitely see them doing something similar. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
And I mean it's like the like at least the NHL is trying, right? You got to integrate these players into, um what's the word I'm looking for? Into the market, I guess, right? Because guess what? Now everybody who plays NHL knows who Sarah Nurse is. They
yeah,
know who Hillary Knight is. And they have their their cards in Hockey Ultimate Team too. And people who get mad about stuff like that, it's like, can you it's a first of all, it's a video game. Second of all, hockey is for everyone. And third of all, why would you not want to see these people who are excelling in their sport
yeah.
succeed? Like, why
Go
wouldn't you want to see that?
go outside, touch some fucking grass, and relax. Like it's
Literally.
be okay. Like
Like if you're getting offended at stuff like that, you're just showing your true colors, and it's like, all right, so you're like, that's the way that you think. Like, really? Like, you're getting mad that a woman is in a video game, and she deserves to be. So those people can just
you say,
go kick rocks.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm so pumped about it. It's like one of those things, man. Like I even at 28 years old, dude, I still get so excited. Like,
Dude, I do too. Especially now with how we have the EASHL squads and the streams and everything. Especially with crossplay coming, if it's confirmed to be here, oh my god, it is,
like us with the only Bruins boys. Like it's just gonna be a
dude.
complete gong show.
It's going to be a game changer.
Yeah.
It's going to be a game changer.
Well, that kind of concludes today's episode. We're gonna be turning it over to Logan Stankoven.
Yes.
Unbelievable kid, man. And obviously, I know you didn't have the chance to, talk to him. Duty calls.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm bummed I missed this interview. Because these guys only have a certain time frame where they can really meet up with us, and unfortunately it clashed with my real job. So I couldn't get there in time. But I mean, I can't wait to listen to it, dude. He's, if you don't know Stankoven, look him up on Hockey DB, look him up on Elite Prospects, go look at some of his highlights. He's gonna be a stud. So I'm pumped that you got to, have the chance to sit down and talk to him. And I'm really happy you got to come onto our program. So I can't wait to listen, dude.
Yeah, you mentioned how unbelievably talented he is. Yeah, when you go on and look up, his statistics, obviously put up unbelievable numbers, but what you're not going to see on there is how great of a human being he is, how incredibly humble he is. Every question that I asked, he implemented the team, he implemented others. Like it just how humble this kid was. It was one of my favorite conversations that we've had. They're all my favorite. Um, but this kid, it just goes to show how almost every team that he's played for in his in these recent years, he's worn a letter, and it really goes to show like how great of a leader he is, and just how humble he was, man. Like he just made every question that I asked, like I said, he was able to kind of turn it into like involving his teammates and giving them praise, and just I was so grateful to be able to have him on, and I think like you said, he's gonna be a hell of a player at the next level, and so I hope you guys enjoy. Here is Logan Stankoven. Thanks, guys. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 7 of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast. We have a very special guest today, Logan Stankoven of the Kamploops Blazers and the 47th overall pick in the 2021 NHL draft to the Dallas Stars. Logan, how you doing, buddy? How's your summer going?
Doing good, thanks. Yeah, summer's been busy. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So how often you been skating? You've been in the gym. What's your summer been looking like so far?
Yeah, it's been crazy busy. Just first year of pro coming up, so just been in the gym lots. on the ice, 3-4 times a week. So yeah, it's been a grind, but if you want to get better, yeah, you got to put the work in, and it's definitely going to be an adjustment coming up this season. So trying to get as prepared as possible for that.
Yeah, for sure, man. And so I want to take you playing in front of your hometown, obviously Kamloops, and playing for the Blazers. What was that experience like, being able to play in front of family and just where you're from? What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was really good. Definitely, there's pros and cons to playing in your hometown, a little bit added pressure, but for me, it was just nice to live at home, see my family every day. Obviously, home cooked meals, which was pretty cool. So yeah, and then your friends and family coming to each game. So I just kind of embraced that, and I enjoyed the ride for as long as possible. It was a quick 4 or 5 years here, especially with COVID. We didn't have a couple playoff runs that were, maybe we had a chance to win or go along, but that was cut short. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun here in this organization, and yeah, now it's time to move on to new things.
Yeah, what do you think that adjustment's going to be like? You saw a little bit of that like during development camp being away. How have you like how are you going to approach that adjustment, kind of being away from home, being in obviously the U.S. and in Dallas, and what are you going to do to adjust to that, and how do you think that's going to go?
I think it's going to be a learning curve for sure. I have lived away from home before. When I was 14, I moved away to play at an academy in my Bantam draft year. So before I got drafted to the Blazers, but yeah, it was different because I was living with a billet family. But now I'll be on my own. So yeah, time to grow up a little bit, and yeah, cook your own meals, and take care of your place or wherever I'm going to be living, I guess. So yeah, it's gonna be different, but it's all part of growing up and becoming an adult.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I want to take you back to the U18 and the U20 World Juniors. Obviously, you scored the winning goal. What was that experience like, and what is winning the gold for Canada like? What is that like for a kid that grew up in Canada? Where like for us, I mean, it's obviously a big tournament for kids in the U.S., but obviously for kids in Canada, it's a huge tournament for you guys. What was it like being able to experience that and kind of play with your buddies and winning gold?
Yeah, I was really fortunate to be part of, I guess, yeah, 2 or 3 gold medal teams now at U18, and then both World Junior tournaments. So, yeah, not many guys get the opportunity to play, but to win, 3 gold medals, yeah, it's just the best feeling, and that's Hockey Canada standards. So, best kids from across the country, they expect you to win the gold medal, and if you don't, then that's just not getting the job done. So I think that's just the standard that they've kind of passed on along the year, along the way, and throughout the years. So it was nice to win gold on home soil for a few years. See down in I think it was is Dallas, actually, U18s. That was a really cool experience as well.
Yeah, so you talk about that standard and those high expectations. How do being a kid, because you really are a kid, man, and these kids that are playing, how do you manage those expectations? Because obviously, like you said, they're so high, and it's the standard for Canada. How do you manage those expectations and kind of come back down to earth a little bit and just make things more simple? Like, how do you manage those?
I think realizing that every single player on the team are top players with their club teams, right? So obviously, some guys aren't going to get as much ice time as they would like, but it's about accepting your role and listening to the coaches, and whatever role you're given, you do that to the best of your abilities. And if you do that, then that's all you can ask. And hopefully at the end of the day, yeah, you're standing on the blue line with gold medals around your neck. So that's basically what they kind of preach to us. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's been through every Hockey Canada experience that I've had so far.
Yeah, so and you've also pretty much worn a letter, pretty much like since 2020, I'd say, right? And so like 2020, you wore the A for Kamloops, and then obviously the U18 Canada team, you wore the A, and then for the past 2 years, you've worn the C. What is how much of an honor is it to wear a letter for your team, and what qualities do you take pride in as a leader, and like what do you try to instill in your teammates?
Yeah, I think it's a huge honor whenever you can get a letter on your chest. I think that doesn't really change the way I act or how I approach the game. I think, yeah, you definitely need to be, a bit more of a leader. You don't have to be too vocal in the room, but somebody that just leads by example is always doing the right thing on the ice, but off the ice too. There's lots of kids, younger kids, and fans that come to the game, and eyes are always on you. So you got to make sure you're doing the right thing and taking time for the kids or fans. It's just something that I've tried to kind of have throughout my career so far. That's something that my parents have kind of instilled in me from a young age.
That's awesome, man. So kind of going back to like your days WHL. What's your favorite barn besides Kamloops that you've played in? And what's your favorite rink that you've played in? Best environment, craziest environment? Like, what's your favorite place that you've played in besides Kamloops?
Well, probably my favorite place, like in terms of where I've played the best, I'd probably say Tri-Cities.
Yep.
I've had some good games there. Trying to think where else. Craziest environment, I'd probably say Seattle. Their fans are pretty wild. They have a good intro, like before the game starts, and they have these clappers that they hand out to the fans, and it gets pretty loud in there. Trying to think what else. I always like the Kamloops Kelowna rivalries. I always enjoyed those, especially if you're winning. If you're losing, it's not much fun, but the fans always come out, whether it's in Kamloops or in Kelowna. The fans come out, and it's a big rivalry. So I'd say those are the three places that are fun to play.
What do you think that you're going to miss most about playing in Kamloops? Aside obviously, you said you are from there, family's there. What other things are you going to miss most about playing in Kamloops?
Definitely my teammates. Some of those guys I played with for 4 straight years. So I got close with a few of those guys, and some of my best buddies. So miss those guys. Definitely the fans. As I was a 16-year-old and went on to my 17, 18, as soon as I got older, the fans started piling into their rink, and not that they didn't before, but I think there was anticipation, especially leading up to the Memorial Cup, where the fans would come out and there'd be some loud games and the seats would be packed. So that's always fun to play in front of. Even this past year or past couple of years with the playoff runs that we had, full buildings. So those are probably the main things that I'll miss.
Yeah, so kind of shifting towards your draft year and your draft experience. So your pre-draft like comparison, you kind of mentioned you have a similar game to Brendan Gallagher, that never back down attitude. Are there any players now that you try to like emulate your game after? And were there any players that you really looked up to growing up, that you tried to like mock your game after?
I used to love like watching Crosby, obviously. I think just how he makes everyone around him better. Always making the right play, and he just sees the ice so well. Like I just kind of admire his hockey IQ. I'd probably say now, like for smaller guys, I like watching like Braden Point or Cole Caulfield. Those two guys, on the smaller side, but can put the puck in the net.
Yeah, for sure, man. So obviously you had kind of like a unique draft experience with COVID and everything. Kind of take the listeners through like your draft experience, what the combine looked like, and being able to share that experience with your family, being home, and what it was like getting that call from Dallas.
Yeah, so our year we actually didn't have a draft combine. It was still COVID going on at the time, and our draft was virtual as well. So we didn't get to experience that, which was too bad. But for being at home with friends and family, obviously the first day or the first night, my name wasn't called, so that was disappointing. From a young age, I guess my goal was to be drafted in the first round, and you always strive for more, right? And when you don't get drafted in the first round, it's definitely disappointing and upsetting, but I think it just makes you hungrier. So the next day my name was called in the second round, and yeah, it was pretty cool to hear my name.
Yeah, you mentioned that you didn't hear your name in the first round, but obviously, I think now looking at things, there are definitely teams that I would assume wish they took you in the first round. How do you use that as like fuel? Obviously, not hearing your name, like, is that something that really motivates you? Um, and is that something that you're going to kind of use as fuel throughout your career? Because obviously, there's some great players that have gotten their names called later and have gone on to have unbelievable careers. So, like I said, how are you going to use that? Do you consider that like a motivating factor for you?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say right now, obviously, because I haven't played a game, but
Yep,
uh, yeah, that's my goal, is to make it there, and hopefully someday look back and kind of prove those teams wrong. That they didn't take me, and at the same time, you can't really hold a grudge against them. There's so many other great players, but
for sure.
definitely like chip on my shoulder and makes me want to work harder and prove those other guys wrong, that hey, I should have went in the first round, or because you always got to have that self belief in yourself.
For sure. And so throughout that process, were there any other teams that you kind of really felt good about that you met with? Um, we had Zach Benson on a few weeks ago, and we asked him about any unique like draft questions that he got to ask, because obviously you hear these like crazy questions that GMs ask. Did you have any crazy like weird questions asked or like experiences? Were there any other teams that you really felt good about?
Um, I think I had a couple, like just like not weird experiences, but just odd questions. I can't remember what teams. Every year there's always a few odd questions from teams, but um, the teams that I thought I had the best interviews with, or kept coming back, were Boston, LA, and Seattle. Those are the three teams really interested. So
Yeah, we would have liked you here in Boston for sure, man. Like we're kind of
yeah.
looking at ourselves now with some of these draft picks, and it's rough. But um, yeah. So this past season, you had an incredible year, dude. 34 goals, 63 assists, and 48 games, which is unreal. And even the year before that, you had even better numbers. Um, what areas in your game do you pride yourself on, and what areas are you looking to like most improve at the next level once you get to Texas?
I think like my strengths are like my acceleration, my first few steps. I think my agility, like down low in the corners, just like cutbacks, or taking pucks to the net. And then yeah, my hockey IQ, I think I see the ice pretty well and can find the open guys, but at the same time, if I have a shot, I'll take it. So I think those are the two main things. And then I think like things that I've tried to work on over the past few years would be yeah, like my playmaking. I think before I was more of a shooter, but if you can have both in I guess your repertoire, then that's huge. So that's something that I've been trying to work on. And then I think just my strength, for me being a smaller guy, going up against men now, it's going to be tough in the corners or in front of the net. So you got to be able to withstand the cross checks, or the battles you have in the corner.
Yeah. So obviously, a few weeks back, you attended Dallas Stars development camp. Um, what was your experience like hanging out with those guys, getting on the ice with those guys, and what was your biggest takeaway from that experience?
Um, yeah, it was fun. It was just all the prospects. It wasn't anything too crazy. Um, it's nice to meet the newly drafted guys, or the free agent signings. Kind of get to know everybody, and obviously reconnect with some of the coaches and the trainers. And you haven't seen them since, I guess, last main camp. So it's good to build those connections, right? Because you never know how long you're going to be with this organization, and you gotta be able to know these guys personally, because they're the ones taking care of you and helping you out along the way.
Are there any guys like on the NHL team that have reached out to you to just kind of give you any pointers, any advice on the transition from junior to pro? Are there any of the older guys reach out to you?
No, I haven't had any older guys reach out, but I train here in Kamloops with a couple AHL guys, and Joe Hicketts, who played World Juniors, and he played with Iowa the past few years. And I think he got a couple games in with the Red Wings a few years back, and now he's playing in or he just signed with LA. So that's the guy that's been around the AHL and had a stint in the NHL, so he knows what it kind of takes. And it's always nice to hear from him. He has a lot of pointers for me going to my first year of pro.
Yeah, so I also want to bring up, obviously you put up unbelievable numbers, these past couple years. You've won multiple awards. One thing I wanted to kind of touch on was how you won the WHL Humanitarian of the Year award, and the Dana Bronze Award. You committed countless hours as a Hockey Gives Blood player ambassador. What does your work in the community mean to you? And what does it mean to give back to your community?
Yeah, it's huge. I think you're more than just a hockey player. And for me, yeah, playing junior in my hometown, like I said before, the spotlight's on you, and there's a lot more pressure. But I think you can kind of take that pressure and turn it into good things. And for me, growing up, I had lots of people mentor me and help me out and give back. So now it's my turn to kind of reciprocate that, and trying to do my part to help out and do things in the community. Like this year, for one of the games, I was actually injured. I was supposed to play in the game, but it was my charity night, and we ended up raising with Hockey Gives Blood. In conjunction with them, we ended up raising like 40 grand or something towards Hockey Gives Blood. And so that was a great night. I think that was my bobblehead night as well. So it was nice just to see that I could raise that much for a great cause, and for people in need of blood transfusions or whatever it may be. And then, yeah, the Dana Bronze Award was pretty cool. So yeah, it's always just good to give back. And that's something that, yeah, my parents always have preached to me as well.
Now, is that an organization that you're going to continue to work with even as you transition to the next level?
I'm not too sure about that, just because I don't know if like I was a player ambassador, so they mostly do it in junior. I'll still give blood and do my part, but I'm not too sure if Hockey Gives Blood has made its way to the NHL just yet, or to the AHL. So I think they've just kind of stuck to junior. But yeah, I was glad I could do my part with them for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I was able to go online and see, there's a link and everything. So once I post this, I'll post the link with it. So if anyone wants to donate or kind of give back, I'll include that link. So obviously, incredible work that you've done on and off the ice. I can't thank you enough for for coming on and taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know how crazy it must be. Obviously, you're getting ready for the season, so I can't thank you enough. I know this is going to be an awesome interview to post out there. So, again, I can't thank you enough, and I wish you the best of luck this season, buddy.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right, see you, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Talk to you later. Bye.
See you, buddy.